Oh, hey,
Okay.
we're on.
It
Hey, what's
really
going
is.
on, everybody? I was sitting here looking down to see what episode we're on. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of that. But welcome to episode number 46 of Mirrorless Minutes. Mike Baining and myself, Jamie, here. Just to kind of recap what we've been up to the last couple of weeks, because, man, it's been busy.
Crazy.
I,
That was a good deer in the headlights look you had there, too.
yeah, it's funny.
Waiting for the thing to start. You're like looking at it.
So I'm looking at my Hangout window, and I'm like, okay, so where is it that I can see what episode we're on? I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we're live. So, oh. So how's it going, Mike?
It's going great. I mean, what a whirlwind 2 weeks it's been. I mean,
Holy smokes.
First off, just getting into Chicago and driving the morning of the night that we have to teach.
Yeah,
that's something we definitely got to stop. Not if we get invited back, we got to change that piece.
like
that was a long day, leaving at 4:30, and I think we got back in about midnight.
Yeah, I know you. You had definitely the worst part of that, driving from your house and picking me up along the way.
Yeah, that was. Well, it was good though, because at least I could stay awake, because we kept talking about stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So someday we actually have it on record. We'll share it for you if we ever get through all the videos that we have shot with our trackers.
Yeah. Moments of interest interspersed with moments of just two guys bantering in a car.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
For 3 hours.
But out of Chicago, wow, what a great event. Again, it far outdid last year. Event, and I think one of the things that we talked about tonight, we tell everybody, is we just wanted to share sort of our top three. I mean, hey, here's the top three things that were just amazing with Out of Chicago this year, because if you haven't gone before, and I have talked to a few people that haven't gone before, I do think there's a hard limit, like on how many people Chris can take in for next year. So register early, and I'm pretty certain you can register now. I know there were registering people there.
Yep, I'll make sure I'll put a link in the show notes here so people can register now, because like you said, it got full fast. Really.
Yeah, as soon as he announced it, like regular, and I know that might have been January, but it filled up within a month, and then I know he was just, hey, I've got one spot left, I got two, and that's you don't want to miss it. I think just from the sheer fact of how easy it is to walk around. At one moment you're talking to Scott Bourne, the next moment you're talking to Rick Salmon, then you're talking to Mike and Jamie, and there are stories behind them, and it's like, holy crap.
Right.
And then all the people you talk to online are there, and it's not really all a mirrorless type conference by any means, but boy
it made a presence
by mirrorless. Yeah.
Goodness
and it really
sakes,
is.
yeah.
I think it has street and urban has to do with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think without a doubt, if we're back there next year, I think that there has to be some sort of a Mirrorless Minutes connection to Out of Chicago, just because of the volume of people that were mirrorless photographers there. Just was astounding to me. I mean, the year before, there definitely was a presence, there, but you could see that this year the number of mirrorless shooters was just blew my mind.
Yeah, it was especially I'm sure we're both probably talking about the panel thing. That room was packed, 50, 60 people, probably could have had more in there.
Oh yeah.
Just listening about mirrorless. So you wanna hit your top three, and I'll go after you. You want to?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
So Mike got with me earlier today and said, we should do like a top three takeaway from Out of Chicago, like what our top three experiences were or thoughts about the Out of Chicago conference. And I guess, for me, the highlight for me was, and it was also one of the ones that there was the most trepidation about, was I taught a class called The Art of the Dramatic Landscape. And that's basically my approach to landscape photography. And it's funny, when I told Chris Smith, the guy who runs Out of Chicago and founded it, what I was going to teach, he put together the blurb. I gave him a little, pitch about what it was going to be and a description for it, and they posted it up, and it went live on the site for registration. And within just a day, it was full. I was like, wow, that's cool, and I'm thinking that's like 15, 20 people or something. And then I get an email, I think it was from Ann Belmont, one of the people running the show there at Out of Chicago, and she says, your class is full. We've got a reserve list. We're going to move you to a bigger room so we can accommodate more people. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
They're going to put more people in it. And then it was the same again. I'm like, holy crap. Now I'm starting to get nervous. Like, how many people are going to be in this class? So I did a seat count, based off of a photograph that I took before I got going, which I wish I would have taken a class photo of everybody there. But I think the room held 65 seats. They were all full and people were standing along the back wall. So that was like a huge thing for me. And I've spoken in front of people before. It's usually a small group, 10, 15, 20 people at the most, maybe 25. But to be pushing the 50 plus mark, was really exciting, and it was fun. I think it helps to maybe let everybody know that, you have a little bit of nerves and butterflies. I think it helps break the ice for everybody.
Right.
Turned out to be great. Had a great class of people with wonderful questions. And I think everybody took something away from it, myself included. I've got a new sense of confidence for speaking in front of large groups. Now I'm thinking, okay, throw 150 at me. I got this.
Just try it, right?
Yeah. And then, so I think the next thing, and I know this will probably be on your list, is being on the State of Mirrorless Photography or Mirrorless Cameras panel. So it was a discussion panel with some really big names in photography. Frederick Van Johnson of the This Week in Photo empire, and I'm going to call it an empire because, man, that guy has got like a behemoth of shows and like classes and all that are doing now with the in photo thing. So Frederick Van Johnson was on there. Matt Kloskowski of On One fame, Rob Knight, Ron Pepper, yourself, Derek Story, me. It was just like, how the hell did I get up here with all these guys?
I can remember you and I sort of looking at each other going,
it's like, it's, I'll tell you what, so I've been listening to Frederick Van Johnson actually, to be honest with you, probably before I picked up a camera, because he had been involved with like Leo Laporte of the This Week in Technology empire, This Week in Tech, and back, from way back. So to actually sit on a panel with him to discuss the current state of mirrorless technology was it was pretty humbling and pretty awesome experience, so that was cool. Yeah. And then, the last one, this is going to sound selfish and, but it is what it is. I think one of the greatest things I had was it was getting to hang out with you like all day, and just go shoot, like the year before, it seemed like we were nonstop. I don't remember getting a break. I don't know if we slept or did anything. It was like we were just walking or teaching, and that was it
the entire time. Yeah.
But this year,
a few hours Friday.
Yeah.
And then we got away from the city too. I think that helped.
Yeah. And then
not far. I mean, 8 miles. It's still the city, but
8 miles outside of Chicago seems like another planet, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
So just like I said, just getting out and being able to experience Chicago, not as an instructor or as a part of the conference per se, but just as a photographer and get to go see some cool sites. It was definitely one of the highlights for me as well. So I think those are my top three. Yeah,
though that was a good one. No, and I agree with you on that third one for sure. Just felt so good to do that. So I've got to screen share on the first two of my things. Okay, so because I got to show a picture to explain what it is. Well, do you see us there in the street?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my first. This is my first one. This young lady here. Of course, Jamie and I, just so everybody knows, if you weren't there, or it's hard to believe you didn't take a class sometime with us and weren't at the Chicago Theater. I think we were one night away from getting our name on the marquee. But we were there for 3 straight nights teaching. And this last night we come up, and this young lady here is from Switzerland. And I thought she was part of the group that we were teaching. I said, so how can I help you, and stuff? And she goes, why are you talking to me? And I said, well, she has an Olympus camera. I said, you're here with the group, right, from out of Chicago. She goes, I don't know what that means. So she just happened to be there shooting the theater. She has an Olympus EM10, and she's just trying to figure it out. And I showed her how live composite worked, and just to see her face, it was fantastic when we were helping her. I mean, it's like she saw something just came down from Mars or something. That was really pretty cool. That was cool. And being from Switzerland, and but she emailed us the next day or something, did she, or the day after?
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, I'm in LA now doing live composite." I'm going, "Holy crap!" She went from Chicago to LA the next day. And I don't know if she was just visiting all over the United States, but it was a lot of fun, and she hung with us for at least a couple hours there, going over it. So yeah, that was probably my number one. And then I'll just show the panel there. There's our panel, and behind us or in this crowd here is like James. I think we're 50 or 60 people in here at least. They were packed, standing on the back wall, and Frederick Van Johnson. I know that he recorded it. I'm not sure how it came out or whatever, but it was a good panel. It was fun. It was odd because we were all sitting below everyone. That was a little different, but that's all right. That's not a big deal. Let's see here. So there, now it went away, didn't it? The screen share.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so here's my third one, and Jamie doesn't know I was going to say this. I didn't rehearse it, and I don't want to embarrass him, but he already brought it up. It's funny. This is the one that's going to match, and I bet you didn't think it would. Is my third, I'd say, most cool moment was actually watching you talk about that class. You were so pumped up. I thought, you know what? Because a lot of people don't know. I mean, like we were always talking before these things, like how are you going to structure your slideshow? What are you going to talk about? Do you think anyone's even going to ask a stupid question? You were worried about it lasting 20 minutes and nothing to do. Man, if you could have seen Jamie, I mean, he was. This is not a short joke, but Jamie was standing about 7'6" after that class because I couldn't get in to see it because I had my own stuff to do, which stinks. So I couldn't get in to see it, but I not only did I hear about it, but then to hear you talk about it, you were so happy because I know you worked hard on all the stuff and you really put forth a lot of effort, and a lot of people got a lot out of it. I mean, it's dramatic landscape, right? That's what you do. So yeah, I was really proud to see that. I thought that was really cool. That made my day. I think it was a hot, long day in Wicker Park with Derek when I got back or whatever. And you were just like, oh, man, you should have seen that. People were everywhere. That's got to be a cool feeling. I think that you had to be pretty happy with that.
It was definitely. It was a highlight for me.
Yeah, so next year you got to ask Chris for the theater.
Holy shit! So, I just made it an R-rated episode. Actually, well, if you do something for the Camera Mall in Ann Arbor, that's where you'll present at, is in a movie theater. So.
Oh, that's right.
I've done the theater, but it wasn't full.
Yeah. Yeah. You could sit up there on a little desk and process on a huge screen. That'd actually be pretty cool.
That would actually be super cool.
Yeah, especially with the big photos and stuff. So no, it was so out of Chicago again. Fantastic event. What's neat is we sold out our Philly workshop, which is not this weekend but next weekend. Through that out of Chicago, the last couple spots were taken and we're packed now. I mean, we're ready to roll. It's gonna be a blast. Hopefully the weather holds out and it's not 99 both days, but because we'll be walking so much. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and I think out of Chicago it's going to be a lot of it's the same deal. Some of those same people are going to be coming, and we got to meet them there, and that should be a lot of fun. So be sure to sign up for next year. I mean, whether Olympus sends us or not, we're gonna find a way to be there. We need to be there.
Yeah, it's I don't think we can say it enough. It's not like any kind of photography event I think that's going on anywhere. It's not just classroom time. It's not just you're separated from instructors, and just watch a presentation. It's one-on-one interaction. It's like Mike said. We spent a lot of time on the street. We joke, that we spent so much time at the Chicago theater, but it was time well spent. We spent a lot of time interacting one-on-one with a ton of people, and that's what you can expect. And it's not just if you come there to see Mike or I. No matter who you're there to see or take a walk or class with, you get that really personal interaction. It's incredible. I mean, in all honesty, to get that experience like on a workshop setting out of Chicago, you'd probably be paying $500 plus for the workshop.
Easy.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly, and you know, I mean, people like that. I know we're talking about it. I did. We walked in Wicker Park there in Chicago with Derek Story, and those people, you know, Derek Story's in the west, and they can't afford to get out to a workshop in San Francisco and all that. He doesn't spend a lot of time in the, you know, in the Midwest. So people are so excited to say, hey, you know, and now not only do I get to see him, I'm shooting with him.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about stuff, and I've listened to him for, gosh, he's had a podcast for over 10 years. And people are listening to him, you know, for the last 5-6 years saying, God, I'm shooting with the guy. So that's the kind of event it is. And I think a lot of them are so class oriented or so vendor oriented, really. Just a bunch of vendors. Like I think about Photo Plus or whatever in New York. Is that what it is? Photo Plus?
Yep, Photo Plus. Yeah, it's all like vendor driven.
It's just vendors. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, Olympus is a big part of it. But you know, it's just vendors.
Yeah, it's gear.
It's gear. And gear is good. Believe me, we talk about enough about it. but getting out there shooting is a lot more fun, I think.
I think before we stop talking about that, just one more thing I want to mention. Yeah. That was our first day there. We were scouting locations, you know, for our night, and we run into Marie Lagneau, and she's out with a group of people, you know, and it was so cool to just be walking through the streets of Chicago, and then here's Marie, you know, she's an incredible street photographer,
and
she's got this tight little group around her, you know, and they're all talking, and it's all animated, and it was cool to just know that these people have got a world-class photographer and instructor all to themselves in a city like Chicago.
It's like 8 hours for that class.
Too. Yeah. I mean, how incredible is that? You can't do that anywhere else.
No.
Maybe out of New York, I guess.
Yeah, I guess out of New York, which she has coming. So, yeah, I guess you can see it quicker is go out of New York.
Right. Yep.
You won't see us there, but we certainly would recommend you, if you can go, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you wanted to let's see. What do you want to do? You want to talk about tracker or you want to share pictures? I'm open to either.
So we could talk about the tracker for a bit, because I know it's funny that for everything that camera does, I think you and I have been spending a lot of time doing the same stuff.
Yeah, that's funny. I would agree with you. It's been like a slow-mo type of weekend. Like, stuff I haven't released. Like I hooked it up by my sprinkler. I was telling Jamie before the show, you know, just at 240 frames per second, you know, seeing the sprinkler going. Yeah, I can stick it right at the sprinkler too. I mean, it doesn't matter if it gets wet.
Yeah,
you know, it's cool. I mean, I'm not climbing the Himalayas, and you know, I'm not skydiving, but it still works.
Right. Yep.
Fun stuff.
Your adventure involved a sprinkler. That's cool though, because it's funny how cool everything looks in slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even some sexy guy shaking out his hair in the pool.
I saw that.
Yeah, so
that looks like a new commercial.
That's a little inside baseball, but basically, what I'm referring to is I was camping with my family this past weekend, and the campground has a pool, and I thought, man, it'd be kind of cool to hold the tracker out in front of me, facing right at me, and then in 204. Actually, this was 120 frames per second.
120 frames per second.
I dove into the pool with the camera out in front of me, so the whole process of me diving in, underwater, me, you know, gliding through the water and then coming up out. Well, my hair is getting a little bit longer, so the natural reaction was to shake it out of my face. It looked a little ridiculous, and 120 frames per second, me just coming out and like doing this like Bo Derek hair shake, and my goatee's flapping around, and I watched it. Rewatch it and I thought, oh my gosh, I look so ridiculous. I have to share this with the world. So I did. I shared it with everybody, and I got ribbed for it constantly, but it was fun. It's definitely, you know, one of the fun things you can do with the camera.
Well, I know that the post of my daughter's dog, the little Creed, that just, it's crazy, that big fluffy hair bouncing around, and I got more. I'm starting to think I just need to post dog pictures, because
people love that. Oh yeah,
I mean, dog pictures and likes and crazy, like, you know, talking about it.
You could probably get 1 million followers on Instagram if you just did little 30-second slow-mo dog videos.
I think so.
You know,
but, that really is. It's a cool option.
And the time lapses too. So you set up one in Bay City?
Yeah. I did set up one in Bay City. I've used a Gorilla Pod actually to clamp it to the one that actually same Gorilla Pod I see you have on yours. Where you have it right now, right? Yep. Yeah. So I just clamped it to a bridge post because that's where we were shooting fireworks, and all the boats were leaving at night, and it just looks hilarious. All these boats are flying out of there. Yeah. It took a whole hour to shoot that time lapse.
Yep.
But it looks like they left in about 10 seconds. Yeah, and then the other one I like is that, and I should have brought it for the show, is that Camelapse thing that you used in Chicago off of our balcony.
Right.
It's like an egg timer.
Yep.
That spins it as well as keeps it, and I used that this weekend at this Crosswinds March, and that's a really neat thing to have. It's got motion. It's got motion both ways.
Right.
It
looks
cinematic is what it looks like.
If you wanted to cheap out on what Mike was talking about,
do you have it?
This is it's the egg timer from IKEA. Yep. It's the ordering egg timer or kitchen timer.
And you can get it right at Amazon.
Yep, you can get it on Amazon. I just this little cheapy tripod head or whatever that 3M adhesives to it.
Yep,
that's the cheap way out.
That's all it is. Yeah, that's no big deal, right? But so I mean, those are the time lapses are great. I think I'm still trying to figure out how many seconds to set it on.
Yes.
So I know how long my video is. What did we do? A 4-hour time lapse of us driving?
Yeah. So the driving one was 3.5 hours, getting close to 4 hours, and that wound up being 2 minutes.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Yeah. So and that's another thing, that I think we'll have to reach out to Olympus and just get the exact formula that's used, because it seems like it's always trying to constrain the finished product to a certain size. Right. And I think it's doing that to create a specific frame rate. So if you set so I've been doing 2-second intervals on my photos just because there's lots of movement. You don't have these big stuttering gaps in between movement,
Right.
But it seems like no matter what I do, I end up with like this minute-long clip. So I think it's trying to conform to a specific frame rate. Again, I'd have to get with them and get the details of it. And speaking of that, so somebody had asked, what are the limitations? And I know we were speaking about battery limitations. I'm sure there's other technical limitations, like you're not doing HDR time lapses, whatever. But but battery life, we've both experienced running it quite a bit longer than 3 hours. We're hitting the 4-hour plus mark. And when I did my time lapse over the holiday weekend, I ran it. It would have had to have been about 4.25 hours, somewhere around there. And when it was done, I went back to the camper and I plugged it into charge, and you've got the battery indicator on it, and it was only flashing the first battery mark. So I think I had probably used almost half the battery, but not quite. And that was like a 4-hour time lapse.
That's I mean, now you got me thinking maybe I just got to set it on the yard. I was so worried this weekend when I set it out and I wanted to keep shooting. Right. And if I was leaving it,
that's the biggest thing for me too. Yeah, I want to do these long time lapses, but it's like I don't want to leave the camera unattended.
Right. I have to pay somebody to sit with it. But I can't believe how well actually the battery really works, and obviously because it's not a frame, it's not like you're capturing it. You don't have solid frames. Yeah, I mean in your thing, it's like you would in OMDs or whatever. When you do time lapse, you'll have individual frames.
Oh, it's like you're not saving.
You're not saving each.
I'm curious how that works, because you don't end up with the individual files at the end of the time lapse. You just end up with the time lapse.
Yeah,
and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think that there's more to it than I actually thought when it first came out. I thought, this is gonna be cool, for biking and stuff. But now it's like everything. I'm trying to think, that'd be cool to have that on there.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like cooking dinner or something, putting it on things that you used.
I mean, I took a ride in my brother-in-law's boat. We were going out to get gas from a marina, or we were hoping to find a marina that was open on the 4th at 5:00 in the evening, which didn't happen. But it was like about a little over an hour-long boat ride. I just mounted it to the windshield on his boat, and it's fun. Everything is fun in time lapse and slow-mo. So that's a seller right there alone, aside from the from the high def and 4K video that it shoots. Just
and then the size, of course, because you just grab it, throw it in your pocket, and
throw it in the pocket, throw it in the pond, throw it in the pool, throw it wherever you want.
Yeah, just don't make it so you have to go dive for it. It will sink.
Right. Yeah,
it doesn't float.
Nope.
That's what I found. So, yeah, that's cool. You want to share some photos? What you want to go?
Sure. Okay.
All right.
Let me fire up the old,
do a whole show on sharing photos.
Fire up the old screen share motor here.
All right.
I think that's the one I want. And there we go. All right. So first photo up. I'm just going to kind of go from oldest to newest. So this is shot right from the apartment that Mike and I had in Chicago for the Out of Chicago conference. Mike has this phenomenal way of finding ridiculously awesome apartments to stay at when we're there. And this is like an entire side of a building as a gigantic mural. I don't know. It's just freaking astounding. There's nothing like that in Eaton Rapids, Michigan. I'll just tell you that. Hell, there are no buildings that tall here. But it was just fun. I think this is just shot with the Pen F right off the balcony with the 300 millimeter because I'm only shooting primes still with the Pen F. And then, the next shot, this was taken at I don't remember the name of the building. It has a very distinct name, but it's the economics building at the University of Chicago. This was some sort of it was like an alumni room or something. It wasn't like for students. It was for graduates, I think.
Yeah, it was graduates. I remember it.
But the light was just incredibly awesome in this room. And the decor just flipped me out. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. It's like you've got this crazy old architecture. You've got these old glass lamps. Then you've got these funky like 60s ring lamps. And just... it was weird and awesome just because of the light and the colors. And this is, again, shot with the Pen F, and this was the 17 millimeter f1.8, which is kind of like the always on the camera lens. And then skip ahead to 4th of July weekend. And I've been wanting to shoot a photo of our campsite. So this is our camper over here on the left and my new toy next to it. We just got a golf cart because you got to have a golf cart at a campground, I guess. And so this is our campsite, and I just set the EM5 Mark II with the 8 millimeter f1.8 fisheye on outside the camper before we went to bed, and just let the time lapse run. So this would be live composite. I guess it's like the 3-hour cutoff, I think is what you get with a live comp. And it's funny, I didn't notice this until just now looking at it. I don't know if you can see the cursor moving around up here, but there are fireflies all over in this shot up in the trees. So yeah, what's that? Yeah, if there's little wispy fireflies like in these spots, and then of course you always have to have a jet come through the middle of your damn shot and ruin it. So I'm not going to Photoshop it out. I'm too lazy for that. And so the reason I'm sharing this, I know people are probably like, God, Grief, are you still shooting birds all the time? But the reason I'm sharing this is not because it's a bird photo, even though it's cool that I got this shot, but this is at ISO 1600 or 2000. I'm trying to remember which one. It's definitely over 1,000, over 1,250. I think it's 1,600. But I saw a post somewhere on Facebook where there was a discussion about noise and Micro Four Thirds cameras, and Olympus visionary Jay Dickman, who is an incredible photographer who has seen it all and shot it all, made the brilliant comment about noise from the Micro Four Thirds sensors. And he says, a lot of it just comes down to how well you exposed the scene. Had this not been exposed properly, this probably would have been a really noisy photo. This is straight out of the camera, did not touch it. And I'll tell you what, it's sharp. The noise that you would be able to just pick out from this isn't noise so much as it has this like fine textured, like a film grain to it. But I was just totally floored at how well it turned out. And this next shot, while not technically great, it was a proof of concept shot for me. I've been wanting to try this. So I've been wanting to do a fireworks shot and long exposure star trail shot. So I almost didn't want to share it because I didn't want to give away my next big shoot idea that I have. But rest assured that the next star trail you see from me is actually going to be this theme or this concept, but definitely on a way cooler scale, because I've got a killer location picked out for it. And in the lower right here, I don't know what happened. I don't know if something exploded in the sky or if a meteor fell or what that was. It's crazy. Last shot. This is just my son here in the blue and my nephew. This just, I don't know. This is what I love about the Pen F. It's just innocuous. It's not this big protruding honking camera. You can just kind of have it out and people aren't really paying too much attention to you. And the colors that you get out of this camera are just ridiculous. I love everything that comes out of that camera with the color profiles. And that was color profile 3. I think my camera lives on that.
It's so funny you say that, because out of that set, that one was in like a set that you shared.
Yeah.
That one picture was easily my favorite picture. And other ones were probably harder to do or whatever, you did with them. But that one is like, crap, you could tell that was with the Pen F.
Yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And because it's just a solid. And did you have the 17 you think on too?
Yep, that's exactly what it was. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. 25. I worked with only the 25 millimeter on it this weekend.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess it actually does look a little did look a little wider, but or a little more zoomed in. I mean, but it you could just tell that was a Pen F, and the colors you get. It really is a little odd how the faces, to me, get so clear.
Yeah, I know.
With that color profile. I thought it would just mess up the skin colors, and it really doesn't.
All those are maintained. Everything else gets really rich.
Right, exactly. Let's see. I will go here. And I think, the first one's probably, they already come up. Yeah. Okay, so let's go here. So this is some of the time that Jamie and I got to walk around the streets. And if you don't know, anyways, this isn't really a plug for it, but I'm going to say it because I love to shoot in the street with that darn fisheye, the 9mm body cap fisheye lens, because you can really get close to people and they have no idea what's going on. And go ahead.
Are you going to explain how this happened? Because if you don't, I have to tell everybody.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. You can say it.
Okay. I hate to interrupt when somebody's sharing a photo. Good. But this moment, and this was freaking genius how this worked out. When Mike did this, I was just instantly like ear to ear smile. Like, it's so awesome. So if you've ever been in a big city, Chicago, New York, or Washington, D.C., these guys, I don't know if they're Tibetan monks or Buddhists or what exactly their affiliation is, but they walk around, they have these little tokens, things that they want to hand you, and then they want you to get a couple bucks out of you, right? So Mike played along with his ploy and reached out to get this token from him so he could get photos. And then, immediately just handed it back, which was it was just so cool how it worked out. And you got the best freaking photo ever with that.
Well, I was trying, and I'm trying to do like a first-person shooter game, I mean, whether it's Halo or whatever. I mean, Halo that's probably old now. but yeah, I try to get some of my hand in there to make it look like you're really into the shot. And I've got the camera sort of jammed up into my chest, and I'm just firing away on silent shutter, talking to them. And the reason I even brought up too is next month I've got a workshop on shooting street photography with that fisheye lens, and it's over at the Camera Mall in Ann Arbor, which is going to be great. I mean, we're going to be able to use a room there, talk there, hit the streets in Ann Arbor. It'll be a lot of fun, and we're only going to go out with five or six people, so it's really small, so we can really focus on, getting up to people and getting in their face. And dogs are fantastic for this. Everybody wants like a picture of their dog and stuff. But yeah, and so I didn't show the other ones, but I was like trying to split people and get right up in their face, and they really don't know what's going on. You get great reactions, and it's a lot of fun in big cities like that. So that was one. And here we'll talk about live composite. This is again off of our balcony at night. I don't know. It was one of those nights. It was probably midnight, getting back in, and I just set up and went to bed. And this is how it came out. Yeah, it's amazing. We pointed it obviously to the north. Took a lot of cues from Jamie on this because he understands that. I think this part of live composite a lot better with these long ones and getting the good star trails. But I was really happy with this one because you still got detail in the in the Sears Tower, Willis Building, whatever it's called. And then that night they had the green and it was like a green and red color glowing from there. And that was only on until midnight. So it had to be just before midnight when I started it. And we didn't get a ton of jets through there, but just a few. So really neat shot. I was happy with that one. I sort of got one last year, but this one year I'm happy. So last week, as soon as I got back from Chicago, I came home, unpacked, and went out to Austin, Texas for work. And this shot here is of the 360 bridge, or it's the Pennybacker Bridge, it's called. And, we had to climb. I think the bridge is 600 feet high, so we got a little bit about even with it. There's a little video, of course, done with the TG tracker. I clipped it onto my bag and took a video trying to go up this thing with Jim Nix, who is a local Austin photographer and actually has a book out photographing we've talked about in the past. And we're going to have him on the show too, but he's got some great spots and, live composite. I mean, I just love this area. We still got some of the sunset, it was just blue hour, really cool bridge. And, I love getting up there. I've done it before, but this is the first time I did it actually with Olympus. It was years ago, and I did it with that other branded camera, and it took forever to put it together in Photoshop. So then it came back, and I'll show two quick ones. And this was, again, this is like a live composite theme, I think. This is this weekend, July 4th weekend. It wasn't actually July 4th. But in Bay City, right over the bay, they have these beautiful fireworks shows, and really might be the best one I've seen outside of that huge one in Detroit. But I really started practicing with a whole different, I guess it's just a whole different thought process on live composite. I got it down to like a half second, and then I really waited for there's always dull moments in fireworks. So they did a good job of doing these bottom fireworks first, and then they left a dull moment where you were able to snap off the second shot and get the rest of these. And it wasn't windy that night. That always helps. So you can see you've got some smoke here. But really, when you got wind and smoke, it really messes them up sometimes. But it was clarity, like it cut 3 different levels. And it's not a long live composite. It might be 30 seconds. But going every half second. So a lot of fun. I mean, fireworks are great for live composite for sure. And then this last one is this weekend's Crosswinds March. I was trying to, pull up my inner Jamie McDonald here with dramatic. I didn't have the clouds as dramatic as I'd like, but unfortunately the skies weren't cooperating that morning. They were just nice wispy clouds. But this place is really cool, this Crosswinds Marsh, and a lot of Detroit photographers go there. I know Bob Panic's been there, Brian Levy. In fact, Brian, I said I was going to mention his name because he doesn't shoot mirrorless, and I told him he needed to because he was in awe of the live composite. So I said I'm going to mention him on every show until he buys an Olympus camera.
Was that Brian Wright?
No, Brian Levy.
Oh.
He shoots amazing time lapses too here in Detroit with his off-brand, we'll call it, camera. But this is just a really neat this marsh and a boardwalk that goes over it, and this is with the EM5 Mark II and 7-14, just laying on my back basically, trying to get the whole scene in that thing. So, all right. Yeah, I was trying to do my Jamie McDonald and get the landscape. I don't know. Some big clouds would have been cool, though, like a storm cloud, but didn't cooperate.
Just keep going back.
That's exactly. It's just an hour and a half ride. I think it's an hour and a half for you, too. I looked.
Wow.
It's like it's really in the down there towards Toledo.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah, so. But I mean, I can't even imagine how many more shots we probably haven't gone through. I know I've got tons of them from Chicago.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have some to fill up some other shows too.
Yeah, probably without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that probably about wraps up the show. We've got. I guess it'll be right after we get back from Philly. We'll be doing another episode of Mirrorless Minutes, so we'll be sharing shots from Philly so that people can get an idea of what our workshops are like.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess I'll put in the show notes, you know, you should really swing over to the Mirrorless Adventures meetup page and just sign up. You know, even if you're not local to Michigan, I mean, the people that are going to be in Philly aren't local to Michigan necessarily. So, you know, it's definitely worth your time to sign up over there. Mike travels a lot, so he might be in your neck of the woods at any given week, you know.
Exactly. I mean, I've already done one thing already with Alex in Arizona, and I absolutely plan on doing more. But one thing I forgot to mention, and you really are taking off with it, is the darn live blogging with Facebook.
Yeah, so that's another thing too. I mean,
so during that weekend, if you want to see what the workshop's like, I'm betting we're going to be doing.
Oh, we will be. Yeah, so if you're not, you know, following us on our Facebook page, I'll put the link to the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page there as well. Because like Mike said, you know, I think we're going to start taking advantage of the live Facebook broadcast that you can do more often. You know, we just started experimenting with them a little bit in Chicago, and then Mike did it over the holiday weekend. And I think I might have, you know, snuck one in there over the weekend as well. So I think it's a perfect thing that you just said is that, you know, you can kind of watch that and see what happens on a workshop, because we should definitely be doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, all right. Sounds great, man. Good show.
I think we're done. You know, we kept it under an hour, which is amazing considering as much stuff as we wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
So I guess thanks for tuning in, everybody. And the next time you see us, we'll be fresh back from Philly, and we'll be talking about what the workshop was like and sharing, you know, some of the things that we shot while we were there. So
yeah,
I guess
sounds
that's
good.
It. All right.
All
see
right,
everybody
man.
later.
See everybody.
Did I click it?
Nope.